Hello and welcome to this simple demo on how you can capture GT.M source datasets and provision multiple copies of this dataset to a target environment. In this demo, I will not be covering the installation of GT.M itself. There are actually multiple very good online resources that can help you with this. Let's begin with this demo flow here. I've already prepared the source and target host in our CloudShare lab. I've also installed GT.M and created a very small sample data. I've also initiated the ingest of the source file system where the data sits in GT.M at the source side into our Delphix engine as our D source. And from here onwards, this particular video, I will be showcasing the provisioning of 2 copies of this virtual file system to the target host. And we prepare the GT.M at the target site to be able to, access the data from our virtual file system. And then we show that the data from the source is indeed now available as copies in the target. And last but not least, we will make changes at the source side and then refresh the virtual data in the target server to show that the changes are reflected in the virtual file system upon the refresh. Now, from a logical point of view, this is how the lab is set up. So on the left side, I have my source host, which is running GT.M version 6.3 and on Ubuntu 16.04. And this is where the GT.M datasets are located. This is the default directory. And I've also already set up the ingestion of the data from the GT.M into our D source, and this is happening on an hourly basis. So once we have the data here, and over time we build a time series for this source, and from that time series you can pick and choose which particular point in time that you wish to provision, and you can provision multiple copies to the target server, and typically this will be your DevOps environment, and it's running the same version and on the same operating system. And the mount point on the target server will look something like this. I've chosen to use /mnt/provision followed by vfs_1 to differentiate with the 2 different file system that we are mounting, and followed by this convention here, which is required by GT.M. This is basically the version of the GT.M that is running. So the benefit here is that, first of all, you can provision multiple copies of your GT.M dataset to the same target server, as I will be showing you. And this provisioning is rapid, very fast, although my dataset is small, but datasets of any size within minutes typically, and no storage consumed at the target site. And we also provide self-service portal that user can refresh, rewind, bookmark, and share the bookmark of their virtual data sets. And of course, everything Delphix does is API first, so you can, the provisioning and the rest of the function like refresh, rewind, bookmark, and etc. can be automated into a pipeline such as Jenkins or Ansible, Chef, or Terraform, GitHub, and etc. So let's move on to our lab. So you're looking at the Delphix data engine, our data visualization solution. I'm going to go into our data set here, and under the source group, you can see that I've already configured to capture from the GT.M source. And you can see the path that we are capturing. So this is the default GT.M datasets, the location where the data files are. And from a time flow perspective, as I mentioned earlier, I've configured this to capture from that folder every hour. So you can see every hour there is a new snapshot taken. And let's go ahead and take the latest snapshot and provision 2 copies of this to the target server. Yeah, but before that, let me just show you. This is the source GT.M server. So if I just invoke GT.M, you can see that I've already configured a small program here called hello, and this nothing but just display a text called this is my small program. And I've also created a global directory here. Let me just show you. Let's display capital. So basically, it's just a pair value of country and its capital. Okay, and I have 1, 2, 3, 5 entry here. And in the target site, in the target server, so first of all, let me just show you the mount points. So you can see this is the standard Ubuntu mount point right now. So I'm just going to run watch followed by the df command. So watch basically will run df minus h every 2 seconds. The default is every 2 seconds. So this screen is automatically refreshing. So when I provision, we're just going to jump back here and look at the mount point appearing from our provisioning. So let's go ahead and begin the provisioning. So I'm mounting to my target server, which is Ubuntu 16.042. And I'm going to give this mount point as we specified in the slide earlier. So this is virtual file system number 1. Let's call it GTM underscore VFS underscore 1. And I'm going to just put it into the dev group. And do this and skip all the way to submit. Now, if you come back here, so we just started the provisioning. And in a short while, you should be able to see the mount point already mounted to the server. Yeah. So let's just check the job has completed. It just took a couple of seconds there. And let's cancel this and let's go into the mount point to show you. CD to this mount point. So we are in the target server now. You can see the GTM structure is already there. Let's go into the global directory first. And there you have the this is the main global directory that we will be using, and this is where the capital dataset is, the one with the pair value, country, and its capital, and the journal, and all this journal. Over time, we have generated some journal there, and let's also go into the routines where the programs are stored. So you can see my hello.m program is there, and this is basically just a text file. You can just get it hello.m, and it'll show you my program, a small little program to basically set my text to this value and then write my text onto screen. Yeah, that's it. And also, since I've already run this before, so you can look under object and it will show you the binary version of the hello.m. Yeah. So I will not cat this since this is a binary file, hello.o. So this is on the target side, yeah. And the virtual file system is already there. So let's go ahead and also provision the second virtual file system to the same server. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this. Okay, so this is for virtual file system number 2. And we will call this GT.M underscore VDFS 2. Put it into the same group. policy, next. So the job will just take a very short while. So like I said earlier, data sets of any size typically within minutes, because we don't copy or move the data over the network. We basically mount a volume. As you can see here, we mount a volume that contains the data that I want, and the second virtual file system is already up and running. So it will have exactly the same set of data, because we just provision from the exact same copy from the source here. So this side here. So what we're going to do here is, first of all, I will need to source my profile so that we point to the first data set. So I've already created the profile, so I'm just going to, okay, so once I've done that, basically, what the source does is, let me just show you quickly before we jump into the GTM. So basically, we first of all, we source the default GTM profile first, because we need the rest of the parameter to be set. But once we have done that, we have to manually and purposely change three specific parameters to point them to the data sets that we want GTM to work with. So this is my mount point. Here, MNT provision VFS1 and VFS1 here for the routine for the GTM, and as well as the base directory. Yeah, and then we export all this again, meaning overwriting whatever that was originally set by the standard, or rather the default profile. Yeah. So once we have done the sourcing and changed the default, then we can now go into GTM and show you my hello, which is the same as the source right now. And we'll also write the capital data set, and you can see the five pairs shown here. So if I exit this source number 2 and then go back into GTM, and again we do the hello, and we write out the capital. So you can see that both VFS 1 and VFS 2 are now having exactly the same data as the source. Yeah, so you can choose, you can have multiple copies attached to the same server, and you can switch between them using this method. Now let's go ahead to go to the source side and make some changes in the source. And then we refresh our VDB to show that the changes happens there. And we will just refresh one VDB, so you can see that the two VDBs, or the two virtual file system, are independent of each other. So when we refresh only one will have the new data, the other one will remain with the old data. So let's go ahead and make some changes to the program first. Our program is called hello. Sorry about that. So basically, this is just pointing to a VI editor. So I'm just going to add some more text here. So I will say that insert for VFS1. So we just added some text there. Edit out. Z-link it. And then show the data again. Run the program basically. To hello. And you can see that it now contains additional text here for VFS1 only. And then let's also make changes to the capital value pair. So we're gonna set, and just copy this out here. change this to for VFS1 only and use a different key. We can say GT.M demo. Okay, and we're done. So let me just show you display this capital. So you can see there's a new entry now, there's 6 entry now, and we just inserted this into the data set. So once we have made changes to the source side, on the Delphix side, the first thing we need to do is basically to take a new snapshot manually. If you just leave it, the next schedule, the next hour, it will take the snapshot anyway. Yeah, but we're not going to wait for the next hour. So I'm just going to do a manual snapshot. Yes. And again, the snapshot is really fast. And it's done. So now we have a new source here coming up soon. Yeah, 203. So once the source has been updated, the next step is to go to our virtual file system that we mounted on the target server. You can see both them here, VFS1 and VFS2. So we are going to refresh only VFS1 and not VFS2. So select VFS1 and go ahead and press the and choose the latest version of the DSource that we want to refresh to. Click submit, and it's running right now. And we are done. So if I go back to my terminal here now at the target site, let me just hold this and then let's source VFS1 again. Invoke GT.M. Show hello. Already run hello, execute hello. Now you can see that the hello in VFS1 has been updated with the changes from the source. And if we write out capital, you can see that the new entry is also reflected in VFS number 1. Now, since we did not refresh VFS number 2, so if we now change to point to VFS number 2, source the profile, invoke GT.M again, and do hello. You can see that the VFS2, since we have not refreshed it, is still having that original version that we provisioned with. Yeah, and it will be the same with the capital as well, the data set. So there is no new entry. There's only 5 entry versus the VFS one here. So that's the demo that I wanted to show you. I hope you enjoyed that.